quiet, please. I'm going to play the intro and then we'll all start clapping when Rob stops talking.
It's time to share. FIAVTS stands for focused, innovative value to society. Define key issues in life. And bring ideas to life. And now, here they are, your hosts for FIAVTS Radio. The FIAVTS team and their special guests.
Yeah.
2 weeks without being kicked off internet radio. I am so impressed. Welcome to FIAVTS Radio. I'm Jeff Hufford, one of the FIAVTS team. FIAVTS does represent focus in adding value to society, which is a principle of life that we like to exhibit. And we know everybody listening and everybody in the studio audience and around all has the ability to add value to society, whether just opening a door for somebody or saying thank you. But on this show, we focus on business people and small business people. It is National Small Business Week, according to Google's whatever pictures they put on Google. It just took me a little bit to Google Plus, and we had to start all over again, so it's a ploy to Google Plus. Anyway, on this show we specialize in talking about various businesses and the aspects in which they contribute to the 5 ITs, which we feel any great idea needs 5 key components to make it work. They need a product. They need people around them or with them. They need financial resources to make it happen. They need a strategy, and then they need to market that strategy. And this is one way to market the strategy.
And my name is Angela Sievers, and I am also one of the team members for FIAVTS. I'm very excited to be here for our second week for our Monday night show. I'm also excited that we do have another set of audience members, and that is awesome. So thank you for making it out. And thank you for all you listeners that are out there.
Beautiful. It is a live studio audience, and we recommend that each and every show. It's kind of a cool aspect of radio. So on to our discussion point today. It is the day after Mother's Day, and we want to address mother leadership. What an unusual topic. No, it's not. Moms are leaders in so many different ways, and the previous day, Sunday, this week, honored mothers. It's Mother's Day. Now we're going to talk a little bit with mom business owners, mom entrepreneurs, and I want to first start talking with a friend of mine, Lady Valentine. And we were just discussing this, that, you know, Judy and I in high school, she was a few years behind me in high school. I was great friends with her sister, Doris, and we got along very well. So I've known her since she was about 13 years old, so that's kind of cool. But,
yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think I've known too many other people that I've known as long as you out here in Phoenix.
She still made it to the show. So
I still like you.
As talking about business owners, we always talk situation. In business situations, for most businesses, they started out with a desire to want to improve something, and that's part of the key element of entrepreneurship. So I know you've talked about it, but now it's time to talk to everybody else. You have a story of what led up to creating your business, sensible steps. So now share.
Great, thank you very much, and I am really glad to be here, and thank you for inviting me so that I can share this and talk to other stepmoms. So, yeah, I found out that I am part of the 70% of step families who split up, and part of the 35% who split up within 3 to 5 years. So that is a huge number. That in and of itself is a reason to do this. But my story is also a true love story, but it's a true love gone bad. We were really, truly in love with each other all the way up until the time when we broke up. The only reason we ended is because of the step-family dynamics. It just didn't work. And we were really happy until we moved in together, and then nothing but arguments. Arguments over everything all the time. In fact, we couldn't resolve the arguments, and you know what happens when you don't resolve arguments. Tension mounts.
Or you repress them inside.
Yes. Yeah, that's a part of it. He liked to suppress them a lot. And I did it. So that was part of the problem. But even whether you address them outwardly or you suppress them, that tension is there. And it's always there. And every argument you have after that builds on top of that tension. And it grows, just like a snowball rolling down the hill. doomed for disaster. And so at our place, the tension was so bad that even our date nights, and we did try to do date nights. I mean, we definitely tried to work on us, and date nights was one way to do that, except it ended in disaster because we ended up arguing, because that everything made us argue.
So all this takes place, and then where's the spark of inspiration? It says, I can probably create a business or reach out to other people like this.
Well, that came after we broke up, and I'm going to go back 2 steps. Before we actually called it quits, we saw a relationship counselor, and instead of transforming our relationship, our counselor, ours ended after 3 sessions, and that has a lot to do with because our counselor did not know anything about step-family dynamics. She had no knowledge that step-family dynamics existed, just like most people don't, just like before I talked to you, you didn't, even though you are part of the step-family and you succeeded. But even the people who succeed, they even know less about these step-family dynamics. They recognize they have struggles. So for me, the turning point was when I found the Step-Family Foundation. That was the turning point. That's when I realized, oh my God, everybody goes through this. It's not us. It's not like I was to blame, he was to blame, the kids were to blame. And if we had this problem and we didn't know, and a counselor didn't help us, the same goes for other people. So for me, becoming a certified step-family coach was like a no-brainer.
What are elements of a step-family coach versus a regular, I don't know if I want to say regular family, that just doesn't seem right. It's like a used home.
Right. It's a very good reference, but yeah, and you know what, the whole term step-family has a lot of different meanings for a lot of different people. So the whole, do I call it a regular family or not? That whole way of thinking is part of the issues. It's a psychological issue. But you know what? Honestly, I am very similar to a marriage counselor or a family or a relationship counselor. I just niche with step families because that's what I know. Do what you know and what you're passionate about. And there's lots of relationship counselors out there, but there's per capita not very many step family professionals.
What are 2, say, critical things that you see that really stand out as obvious points when you're working with the consistent things that come up?
Well, mostly it's about discipline. That's like the biggest thing is the discipline, because one of the reasons for the arguments is different parenting styles, and it's not so much whether it's restrictive parenting or it's permissive parenting. It's actually if both parents are different. If one is more strict than the other, one's very permissive, one doesn't have very lax rules or very little rules, and the other one, that's a lot more important. I'd say that is probably the number one issue that drives them apart.
And I imagine for people that own businesses or small businesses, they got a family that got together and had a small business together, and this became very disruptive to the kids' involvement.
Of the step families or the step couples that have come to me, some of them have been in small businesses and had their own, and some didn't. But at that point, when they come to me, they don't normally talk about the kids' involvement. So yeah, some do, some don't, and yeah.
Right there. Just overwhelming fun.
Right.
So, what materials, from the step parent, is there materials and book? I mean, how do people go about this process to help understand that they're not alone in this situation?
Well, listening to this is the very first step, because now they know. Right. The great thing about the internet and nowadays is that knowledge is at our fingertips, and also the awareness that there are step families and step family dynamics. The awareness of that is more prevalent now. So I will say that that in itself drives people, and they look for the resources and they're out there. There's the Stepmom magazine. There's all kinds of books if they through my website.
Which is what?
Stepfamilycoach.com.
Stepfamilycoach.com. Okay. Making sure we
So
have
original, huh?
hey, whatever works, right? That's
Right.
very direct marketing. It makes a good point. Yesterday was Mother's Day. And when we talked earlier in the week, you said this is somewhat a bittersweet day for stepmothers. Why is that?
I'm really glad that you asked that. That's a very good point. And the reason why is because oftentimes people say that the most thankless job ever is being a mom. And I disagree. I think being a stepmom is the most thankless job ever. Because a lot of parents, whether step, foster, adopted, or biological, often don't get credit for the things they do, washing the clothes, making dinner, whatever it is. But on Mother's Day, they do. They get a card, they get flowers, breakfast in bed, but it's only because there's a day to recognize them. But stepmoms didn't have a day, so they never get recognized. And oftentimes, even the partners and the biological dads don't recognize that stepmoms deserve that recognition, want that recognition.
So a key component, recognition, appreciation. I think any human being wants to be appreciated for the
Yes.
things that they do, right?
Yes.
And can you say that there's actually a step-parent day?
Yes, as a matter of fact, this coming Sunday is Stepmother's Day, but most people don't know about it. It's not well known.
I didn't see a Hallmark section on Stepmother's Day.
I know, isn't that sad?
No, there's
wanna
not
make
even a
that-
jib-jab for Stepmother's Day.
Maybe I should make that my mission.
Well, with being in a studio audience, we actually have the opportunity to studio members listen to you, to ask them, pose some questions. So you open to that?
Oh, absolutely. I love questions.
Well, I would point to the other side of the studio.
Excuse me. We have Jay. He has a question for you.
Awesome.
I happen to have a daughter-in-law that is a stepmother. I never knew I had to treat her any different, and I don't believe her stepkids have. Is this abnormal or normal?
Well, actually, it actually is very common. So, and I love the fact that you say you didn't know that you had to treat them different. That's awesome. So the challenge is that because you didn't recognize that, you also don't recognize that there are so many other step families who have that problem. And the majority of step families do have that problem, just some it's more natural transition and others overcome them. Okay. Do we have another question?
My name is Irene, and I have a question. Do you help children as well, or is it just the parents themselves?
Great. So I do directly and indirectly help the children. So usually it's the parents and step-parent, as a couple of them comes to me, and I work with them, and when necessary, and it's not always necessary with each client, to bring in the kids. So at times when it is, I ask, and I will work with the kids. But I will say that even when I'm not directly having one-on-one with the children, I'm always indirectly helping the kids. Because by helping the parents, I'm helping the kids. It's an automatic thing. It filters through. In fact, it helps the kids in so many different ways, even in the kids' future, the relationships that the kids have with the other kids at school. It's going to help the kids with the future relationships with their significant others, and then more future when they have kids. So it's for an ever-ending benefit.
Hi, my name is Mom Schaefer, and I am a product of a step family, except I didn't have to raise my stepkids, but anyway. What do you advise for blended family before they get blended? Is there something that they can do together before they get blended? Because all these issues seem to happen after the fact.
Oh, that's a very good question. Yes, if they are aware of step-family dynamics, I highly recommend that they get educated. So as I said, that 70% don't make it and 30% do. So a lot of people do get it right just naturally, even though all step-families experience the same challenges. Just some get it right naturally. So you don't really know ahead of time until you do your own research which percentage you fall into. So you have to do your research and look it up, and I do give free consultations, and I actually have had a few couples come to me before they move in together and just ask me to give them advice. So if there's any, basically I evaluate to see if there's any red flags that they should be working on before they move in together.
I just came up with a
Okay.
collaborate before cohabitate.
I love that.
These things just happen around here. That Judy, obviously, will be staying the rest of the show and interacting with everybody. And what's the website again?
stepfamilycoach.com.
That's awesome. And you took an opportunity for a challenge that you had, and instead of facing defeat with it or just stirring up, you saw opportunity to help a lot of people. And those are the items that are focused in adding value to society, especially helping with other people. So we will now transition.
Okay, so I have the pleasure